I am very happy to see you here today. And today we have a very special guest. We will talk about our creativity and also how some art blocks can influence on our creative flow. And our guest today is Marina. She's a professional coach and therapist, and she has her own wonderful creative subconscious method. And I'm very happy to introduce you to Marina. And I will, Marina, if you can send me a request, it will be wonderful. It will be wonderful. So let's start. If you have any questions about creativity, what blocks you from creating, it will. And yeah, I think I accept. Yeah, it should. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Hi. Hello.
Thank you for coming, Marina. I'm very happy to see you. How are you today?
I am doing amazing, actually. I'm really excited to be here. It's always such a joy to talk to you. And whether we do it live with everybody else, whether we do it, as a one-on-one, it's always such a joy, yeah, to definitely talk. And also share like everything, all our jams on creativity and how helpful and supportive it can be. Yeah, hopefully support everybody's weekend, to be more creative, to relax and have more fun.
I'm I'm very excited about what we will talk about today because I think it's very interesting that we both of us we use some creative techniques in our work, but like from different sizes. I'm an size. Sorry, I forgot all English word.
All good.
Okay, I am an artist and I really love to experiment with art, and I notice how creating art can influence my emotional state, my, I don't know, I even can relax very well with creating art. And you are a therapist and a coach, and you use these artistic techniques in a bit different way. I mean, it's kind of, we use something similar, but from different
Yeah.
sides. And yeah, and first of all, I forgot that it's. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your journey and how how did you become a coach and transformative coach? How
Yeah.
you found your own method?
No, absolutely. I want to share it all. Thank you for asking. Well, I worked I grew up with a bunch of creative people in the first place, but I was born in Siberia and then I went to kindergarten in Kazakhstan and then, I had my schooling in Moscow and Scotland and London and then I lived in Mexico. So I started off in a very non-linear way, like that's how my life was. And I worked as an art curator with artists and as a gallerist for many years. And I witnessed the process of artists. And by the way, anyone who's listening, if you ever work with artists um, as a curator, what you do is you help them to solidify their concepts, or you help them to translate it in a tangible, like a exhibition format, or you translating, you're the bridge between the artist and the public, whether it is a book or a publication. So you kind of work as a therapist already. You're holding space for these very unique, individuals who think and see the world in a specific way. Their connection to the world is different. So I remember going to artist studios, and I was so fascinated because it wasn't necessarily the work that interested me. Obviously, it's really important, but it's like, how did they get there? What was the process? And I remember that's what I would always ask. I was like, okay, this is your masterpiece, but what did you do before you created it? What was it that got you into the state? Because that's the state of inspiration, that's the state of connection, that's the state of flow, right? And it's accessible to everyone. And because we're all artists, we're all creatives. And this is what eventually took me to Institute of Human Potential in California, the Esalen Institute, And that's where I was researching. I ended up researching the naturally induced flow states. You know, these flow states of inspiration, of oneness and connection, when we are all of a sudden have these answers. It's like a different frequency of thinking, you know, and it's something that I don't know, like Einstein would talk about. There's so much research at this stage. And so when I was studying group psychology or like practices, like, you know, body practices and all the different modalities, because some of the best teachers were studying that, I realized they all were talking about the path and the process the same way that the artist spoke to. So it was really I put two and two together, and I was like, okay, this is going to be my research. And then, Paulina, this is where it gets really exciting. As an art historian, and then already having with the psychology, you know, trainings and all of this, I was started to look at like, what did Kandinsky do? You know, or what did all these great artists who have changed the history of the art world, right, as we know it, what the practices were. And they were the same sort of practices we do meditation, you know, as we do yoga, as we do as I've learned with all the other practices, it's connecting to yourself, right? And that's what Carl Jung would talk about. And so it was so natural the way it connected. So I have these people, I would teach a workshop. I had a practical research because I still plan on doing PhD and taking it further on and writing a book. I started the book already and on the method, and but I would take the people in at Essen. I would teach a mixture of what, for example, surrealists used to do, like the way they explore trance, and we did it together. Do you remember we did the rope practice, and it's the idea of like surrendering to something and letting go, but you do it through play and through creativity and drawing and patterns, and it sort of occupies a part of your brain. It occupies it so that another part can release. You know, we're sort of, I mean, and this is a question to anyone who's listening right now. Like, you know, we're multidimensional, I think. We can be really happy and excited about something. And at the same time, we can feel sad, right? We're like these, you know, experiential beings that happen at the same time. So I think for us, creativity is our innate nature, because as we're creating, as for example, you know, let's say I'm doing your pattern class, right? There's thoughts that show up as I'm drawing, as I'm releasing. It's like I do believe that's the nature, and that's how we're supposed to be. Am I still on a track here? Oh yeah, how did I become how did I get so excited? How did I become a transformational coach? Well, I love the practical side of coaching. I love the fact that, you know, when I have clients or students coming in, they live very practical lives. We can go into exploring all sorts of concepts and ideas, but what's is interesting is like it's a real life dilemma. Like, how do I get another job, right? Or how do I deal? I'm in this relationship that isn't working, or I would like a relationship that's working, you know, or I don't know how to tackle my health issues, or, you know, money, or whatever it is there. And it's really exciting to me to be as a coach, to use all the experiences that I have, and this particular method using creativity, right, as a way of problem solving from a completely different perspective, to come up with the answers, with the solutions that are tangible. And so I went to coaching, and transformational is looking at, you know, the transformational quality of everything. And we're not here to, let's say like there's a problem, right, that needs to be solved. We can focus on solving the problem, or we can look at the skills, right, like that, and create a skill for you know, at the core of where the problem is, and resolve it there, so that that skill can be applied to all the different areas of life. And that's, I think that's, it's just an extremely practical way of approaching life, while doing something that is quite, you know, can be seen as quite conceptual for people. Because the minute people think creativity, you know that, they're like, what?
Yeah, you explained everything so beautifully. I agree with you in everything. And Paolo writes that yes, because when I was in a deep depression, all that saved me was painting and my two dogs. And I can relate really because so many times just drawing and painting healed just healed me. It's something like
Yeah.
healing meditation to connection with yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you see the difference when you work with artists, some maybe creative like designers or somebody, and other professions? I'm very curious, and also as my audience, there's a lot of creative people there, and, or
Yeah.
it's the same.
Um, I guess it depends. It's definitely there's a big difference. You deal with different fears. So for example, people who have never done creativity, like for example, if I have a head of VC fund coming in, right? And I'll make him draw, he's like, oh my God. It's like it'll be challenging for him to just like go. But I see it as we forgot how to play. It's not so much about creativity. I'm not saying like, okay, you're gonna be an artist, but we have so much I don't know, limiting beliefs and set beliefs that people are like, why would I draw, you know? And it's not, it's not the method, it's playfulness, because when we play we are much more resilient and we're much more resourceful, and those are two qualities that I think are, you know, whether you're doing business, whether you're doing, I don't know, even like whether you're going on vacation, whatever it is, it's you need these two to go through your life, and that's playfulness. So that's sort of one issue. But the people who come from a creative industry, like artists, for example, they feel much more comfortable with the language, the visual language. So, and because they're fluent in it, it's to to learn how to bypass their safety, you know, like mechanism. So, for example, if I talk to you and we have a conversation, you're so skillful with words, we all are. You'll find a way to bypass the settings, right? Your whatever part of you does not want to deal with, that needs to be resolved. You know, there's avoidance, there's also, and we're skillful at that. When we take it to the creativity, let's say I make you draw something, or I'll make you move through something, and then we'll write down, we'll journal it, or I'll get you to do non-dominant journaling, you know, and I'll ask you my coaching questions, which is just like my favorite thing. You will see it, it'll face you, you know, it'll look back at you and you'll see your own results. It's not me telling you something, it's you are able to be directly in touch with that. And if you're not creatively so skillful, that might be just much easier sometimes. But if you're an artist, you might know how to bypass it. So for me, and this is where it gets really exciting, and I think artists have great results there, is to give them an extra language and an extra way to tap into themselves. You know, so they may think they do painting or sculpture, whatever it is, but it's not so much about the results, you know, and it's not so much about the signature, like it's writing, you know, like we all write in our certain way. It's almost teaching them a different type of writing, you know, or a different, like accessing another layer. Yeah, and that's kind of different. That's what I think. Does it make sense?
Yes, of course.
What do you
Yes,
think? What's your experience with that?
my experience that with all the creatives who I work with in my drawing club, for example, we have
Yeah.
many practices try, when I ask people to focus on the process, not on the perfect result of their drawings, and I see that with time, this little practice, it helped them. So each time when I make a new video assignment, for example, and we create something, I always share with them my thoughts that let's let's focus on these lines and colors, and it doesn't matter how perfect it is. Or sometimes I make create assignments that sounds like um, playing with mistakes or something like this, when we make mistakes on purpose. So we
Yeah.
make some blobs of color on the paint and then continue to draw. or create some unpredictable art when we do not plan the artwork, but we let ourselves to just to play and to see how we can express what we have inside on the paper without any kind of plan and idea on how it should look. So
Mm.
it's about freedom, and these practices, they help people to feel relaxation, feel more relaxed. And with time, I talk with my students and members of drawing club a lot and ask them for feedback. With time, they say me that after participating a few months in drawing club, I feel more confident. I feel more freedom when I create.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I see more beauty in my art. Now I love my art more. And this is really fantastic because it's just a very simple 5-10 minutes creative assignments with no, they're very easy. Everyone can do them.
Yeah.
And but this is a space for you to connect with yourself through creativity. And if you do it regularly,
Mhm.
it can improve your emotional state, even so, I
Yeah.
think.
I'm gonna take this further. Like everything you said, 100% beautifully explained. And on my side, I will add, so that safety that is created through art. So you think you're like drawing away something there and you relax and you tap into something. And then I come in as a facilitator and I ask questions, deep questions, or I'll guide them into a place where they normally would be afraid to go. Normally, they wouldn't be able to tap into, like really the blockages, the actual blockages. And because they're in a state of expansion, because they're open and there's that safety, and it's really interesting. But the drawing, it's very soothing, that creative practice. They're able to tap into them. It's like, oh my gosh, that wasn't so scary. Oh, actually, how interesting. Yes. And they come back with these, meeting with these parts of themselves, whether it is addressing, I don't know, like a major self-confidence or self-worth issues or, past stories or limiting beliefs. And all of a sudden, they don't seem so intimidating. And the great thing is like you can also see them on right in front of you on a piece of paper. It's not so big, right? It's not so and you can dialogue with it, and it's just yeah, it's a whole different way of accessing it, and that's the beauty of it. And it's the thing is, it works afterwards. So we do it in the session, but then it continues to unwind, like a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, and then like several months later, sometimes they're like, oh my God, now I get it. I see what it is. So this is what I mean, that it's a powerful process, not only immediate in the moment, but it's just something else is happening. And like once we started, it keeps on going and unraveling. And that's just really cool. I mean, I have in my groups, I was like, because I do a lot of the times I do the practices with the group as well to keep track and to guide them. And every time I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And they're always like, Marina, you've been doing it for years. Why are you surprised? I was like, because it's just incredible, the access and the depth of it. And also it's fun. I don't know if I do justice. You have to try it first to like really, I think, experience it. Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm
Yeah,
at.
that part that you just described, this is why I really love your method, that you can address a very deep and precise question. It can be very mm, very like an essence what you need
Yeah.
to get there, and it has a very big power, this question. And I think
Right.
this is what you can do as a high professional, and I think it's really very big value for everyone who is working. So I'm lucky to have some practices with you. And
It's mutual, Marina. Thank you. Well,
uh,
shall I just be really honest with everyone and be like, yes, creativity is a way to do it. It's a method, but what I really believe in and what I've seen in my life as well. Because, you know, I needed this method myself. Like this is my life path that I have gone through, you know, it's which is not for the faintest of the heart. Let's just, you know, frankly speaking, it's it's a way to address it. I do believe that we all have all the answers we need. Life is very challenging these days. There's so much going on. It's very overwhelming. And we need one, we need to rest, you know, in order to like and recover, in order to go further. But a lot of the times I remember when I left my old job and, you know, I was going through major, like I changed countries. I didn't know anyone in California. Like I knew maybe like two people in LA, you know, when I moved there. And it was really intimidating. And I think I remember thinking I really wanted somebody to tell me what to do, a mentor, a support. And what I didn't realize years later was that having an incredible teacher, like having found them, it's like the best answers that I could come up with were within myself if I were to allow myself that space. And that's what a good facilitator and a good teacher would always do, is not to give you the answer, but create a space where you can touch that intelligence of yours that's within, that's wisdom. Because, guys, really, your unique method and your unique way of looking at life and living it, that's what we're here for. It has all the answers. No one can solve this for us necessarily, but what is possible, and that's where it gets really exciting, is that we could have the space, create that space where you find like brilliant solutions, you know, that you didn't even see. You're like, oh my gosh, like, of course, this is no brainer. And it's very simple. Like it's not overly complicated. And I just really don't like this concept so much. Like we sometimes get stuck, you know, in these challenges or in these positions of like, oh, you know, how do I resolve this, or how do I, you know, how do I get out of this? And we perpetually getting stuck in this. So that's why like creating a different solution, that would be interesting. Anyway, this is
Yeah, I have a question. What are some common subconscious programs that hold people back in your practice? What have you met the most?
the classic one is I don't deserve this.
Mm-hmm. I'm not good
I'm
enough.
not worthy. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. Shame, a lot of shame, like you know, shame to be your authentic self, not showing for themselves. And then it's really interesting. It has the other side is people pleasing. So it's going on. I would rather take care of someone else than say what I truly want. So when people go for their dreams, for what they really desire, this is when a lot of issues will rise to the surface and come up. And and it's really early programming from the childhood. You know, how did they grow up? What was going on? You know, what's sometimes it's inherited from the parents as well. It's not necessarily theirs, but it's something they picked up. And you look at the history and you're like, oh yeah, that makes like, and then you sort of get them to see it. And um, yeah, so I would say limiting beliefs such as that. Yeah, I'm not worthy enough. I don't deserve it. And a mixed bag of that. Yeah.
And how does it work? Can you explain a little bit? For example, I have some blockages or this limited belief that I should be a good girl or I'm not good enough, I don't deserve something. Can we deal with it with just some creative practices, or is it a very long journey? How does it work?
I think it really depends on the person. I believe that if the person is ready to do the work, and like we're gonna move really quick and really fast. And there are several stages of that. It's coming in and how like understanding why we're doing this, right? Having the vision and then creating a permission to be yourself, cultivating that muscle. Because a lot of us we don't even allow us to fully express ourselves, you know. Um, and then yeah, finding like, okay, what's the vision? Getting really, really clear on that. What do you actually really want? A lot of people don't know what they want. And then the next question here is like, from what place do you want that? Do you want it from a place of conditioning, right? Because you're, you know, like your mother and your father, or the background you're coming from, or your husband or your girlfriend wants that? Or do you actually want it from who you are, from your essence, right? And then connecting to that, and then we create a vision through creative practices. We do meditations, refine them, and then we see what comes up when you go into this vision, when we actually work through it. And it's really great to use creative practices because I can ask questions, but I would ask you guys to draw or, you know, create shapes and get them to tap into your subconscious mind that already knows, that's not gonna, you know, that will tell you the truth in that moment. And then we translate them. So we're accessing we're going via a different route where there's no bullshit there. And so and that saves time. So normally a lot of the times, I don't know, sometimes it what takes maybe, I don't know, 4 to 5 sessions of regular work, we can do it in one session, in one go. And then, yeah, and then, well, we've seen it. This is just like, it's, and that's what I'm trying, that's what I'm saying. It's like the answers are literally there. And, and we're just using all the resources, all the different intelligences that you have. You know, we're just using a different language to access it. You know, because like we are really conditioned, whether we want it or not. But yeah, so clear vision, who you are, what do you want? Like you know, we create that, and then what's in the way, using creativity to really clear practices of like, okay, that's what's in the way, let's work through it. And then the beauty there is transforming it, you know, because whatever that the block, each blockage holds a key that can be transformed into resource and power. So it could be done, I don't know, if it's a group session, we can do, it's a series of workshops, you know, I don't know. It depends. It really depends. We could do it in a session. We could do it 3 sessions, 4 sessions, whatever it is. And it again, it depends long-term goal. Like, are you coming with a burnout already, you know, or are you in the middle of building a new project and you need that type of support? Are you transitioning into a completely different lifestyle? Yeah, it varies, but it does save a lot of time going the creative route.
Mhm. And thank you very much for explaining. And does everyone can find out what they really want? This maybe maybe I don't know what I want, and it's impossible for me to find it out.
Oh, it's absolutely possible. I would ask you first, do you want to find out? Because if if it serves you not to know, so I don't know, maybe on some level you know that if you truly say what you want, then maybe you have to take responsibility for a lot of changes in your life, and maybe you're not ready for that, right? Then I get it. But then we can also be honest about it. We can also be grown up and say, yeah, this is really what I want, but right now is not a good time. And it's like, okay, we'll park it over here. But I believe in like having clarity and conscious choice. Um, and then the other, we can define and refine the vision. There's a way to, sometimes there's another way around. So sometimes people think they know what they want and it's so clear. And then we start doing the work and it's completely not at all what they wanted. And we actually saved them time from not pursuing something that wasn't aligned in the first place. And I think that's a really important thing. It's just like, go get clear on the vision and if it's really what you want, and then we test it out and it's like, oh no, we reconfigure a different way. I love I'll tell you what, a lot of the times people already have everything of what they want and their vision there. They just don't know it. Or they're so used to it, they're not able to kind of see it and put the pieces together. But once we get clear on that, they're like, well, wait a second, actually, this is right here. Or, like I had a client coming in and she was really, she wanted a different business. She was in a really good position, a corporate, and she was like, no, I'm not satisfied. I don't know what to do. I probably need to leave and start something of my own, whether it is a startup or, some sort of business. And we had a session and I asked her a couple of questions. I also love going to the childhood, and I would ask like, what was your favorite thing to play? Like, because when we're playing, we're so authentic. That's another reason why I love creativity. It's like, you can see the energy, you can see where it's moving and where it's authentic, right? And we just multiply, like we put the volume up and it sort of sorts everything out. So anyway, we had a conversation, and throughout that, she did the practices that I gave her, and turned out that she was an exceptional leader. And what she loved the most is taking care of her department, of her people. And turned out that, and she wasn't the classic leader. She wasn't like so outspoken, so strong. She was very gentle, very caring, very nurturing. And turned out that people loved being led by her. They felt so safe. They wanted to produce more work. And they kind of, her teams did really well because of that. And she just wanted to expand responsibilities. So she wasn't challenged enough in that pursuit because she totally didn't see herself as a leader. So she ended up not starting a new business as she thought that's what she wanted. She actually ended up creating a bigger department where she was working. And it turned out that was her value. So we saved her, quite a lot of time and headache in that way, at least for the next few years. So that's, the thing with visions, I think clarity is really, really important. And the sooner you get clear on where you're at and where you want to go next, the more, the happier you are, essentially, the more stable you are in life and relationships and work and health wise. So that's really important. And yeah, and creativity, guys, saves you that time.
And what advice would you give if I'm already a creative person who loves to draw, and for example, I notice that while drawing, I catch this relaxing mode, and I feel really good in this process. But what is the next step? How I can go further with it?
Mm-hmm.
Can I go by myself, or do I need a coach for that? What would you say?
Well, I think it depends what you want to do and where you want to go. Like, again, what do you want? How quickly you want to move there? If it's time sensitive and you want to move quickly, I definitely say support would be helpful. If you can't get a coach, get a group. If you can't get a sort of group workshop format, which is also works brilliantly, find people who already gotten there, who are already doing what you're doing, right? And sort of see where they're at. Coming back to your question, let's say you have practices, you have the drawing practices already. So with Creative Subconscious, what I do is that my method is I help people to relax and unwind really quickly using creative practice, but that's stage one. Stage two is when I guide them into this depth, right? And I ask them questions. So self-inquiry is really important. So if you can take it to the next level, and from that place of relaxation, when there's no fear, when you're like, oh, this is not a problem, right? I mean, we did music exercise in my masterclass. Like I did this free masterclass, and this is an example. All of you guys who are listening right now, how many times have you been in a bad mood, and then you put a music on, like maybe you're driving in a car, and all of a sudden you move shifts, and whatever you were maybe not so happy or whatever you were dealing with before, it does not seem like such a big deal, or you know that you can resolve it. That's the shift. And it takes one song, sometimes two, depends what you're going through. But you know, that's the power of nonverbal. So, and then I would say, okay, from that place, now that you can resolve it, this is where the coaching comes in. I would ask questions and guide them. Is like, how do you want to resolve this? What is the best? And then we align it to your vision, right? Where do you want to go? And then we slowly, with the self-inquiry, we sort of move you in that direction. The more time you spend with what you want, the more it's going to open up, right? It's the same. So here's a story. I was trained. I was trained at Sotheby's as well, like old masters and antiques. And one of our assignments we would be sent in a museum, like in London here, and we were just given a random, I don't know, it could be a painting, it could be a piece of furniture, and we just made sat in front of it, and we'd have to write a provenance. Provenance is like a report, like describing the piece, giving it history, with like almost no information, no research. And what they taught us is actually a meditation practice. It's like you just sit and spend time with the object, with whatever it is, you witness it. And I kid you not, every single time it worked, the object starts to open up. Everything speaks, and everything starts, you start to notice the details and patterns, and before you know it, it comes, the history comes together as a picture. It's the same with everything in life. You spend enough time with it, and if you go into dialogue and to communication, it will show, it will reveal itself. Now, what I offer is that space where you can be with it, but also my presence and experience to see clear what it is that you're addressing, and make sure that you are guided by it with your own sort of inner genius, inner ability, your inner wisdom, because it's there. You already know everything. It's just a matter of giving you the space. You're like, there. And this is my passion. I do want people to own to own their experiences and their growth. So when I'm not there, they can continue growing and going further.
I'm also curious, what are the advantages of working with these practices, doing this in a group workshop? What I'm sure, actually, I know, I think I know the answer, but I want you to explain how it helps working in a group. What is
Let's
the
let's
difference?
both answer it and compare notes. I think that would be the best, because I know you have incredible groups as well, and a lot of experience with that. Well, first of all, we're collective beings. We, as human species, we progressed, through surviving through collectives, through tribes. So we are already wired in that way. So when and we mirror each other, we model each other, we copy each other. And so when we're in a group of like-minded people who strive for the same things, that just gives you that much more strength. So, um, me looking at you, going like, oh, Polina can do this. Oh, there's a part of me that thinks I can do it too. And that's really important. So we lend each other experience, and it's extremely healing. It's very inspirational. There's camaraderie. You're not alone. And sometimes knowing that you're not alone, that's the winning recipe, and then, yeah, the other thing, so if we have a one-on-one, um, there's it's incredible. However, if we have another four sets of eyes witnessing, it multiplies the effect. So it creates a much more powerful for you experience, and this is so fascinating to me. So if you are sharing something, you're being witnessed by, let's say, a group, you're having a deeper healing experience, a deeper growth. And at the same time, the group that's listening to you is processing, their own healing at the same time. So that's how it works. It's really powerful. And I'm sad to see that a lot of people are scared of it, because if you do find a group of like-minded people, you're just gonna move really quickly, and it's fun. And you don't have to do all the work by yourself. You can actually split it and share. That's the collective way.
Yeah, and I know that today you have a workshop on energy.
I
And
do.
can you share a little bit, one
Yes.
bit with us?
Yes. Yeah, the workshop starts in 2 hours. It's today and tomorrow. And it's about energy. It's about um, how to tap in to your own energy source. We all recover in a different way. So there's a default, especially these days, where everyone's trying to hack, your rest or your productivity. Yes, you have to sleep 8 hours or however long, you eat certain way, you socialize, vitamin D, all of that is great, nutrition. However, there are certain things that will recover and rest you in a way that only is true to you and unique to you. Like I've been getting clients. Well, first of all, everyone is really tired and everyone is overwhelmed, and the way we recover is the way we create our life. Whatever state we're in, that that's what we're going to create more of. That's how we problem solve. So what I realized is through drawings with my clients, we're able to tap into their own energy map. And not only they rest really quickly, but they also have their own sort of, how would I say it? Their own, sorry, I'm just going to close this. They also have their own ways of, they remember all of a sudden, oh yes, that what rests me, because we're tapping into the subconscious mind. Like I always have this example with a client who did all the right things. She did the yoga, she did the meditation, she slept well, she ate well, but at the end of the day we found some things, like for her it was really important to go and look at the stars, and that became a ritual. And that ritual of looking at the stars had created a space for her that recharged her in a completely different way and touched upon, I don't know, it could be childhood. It could be, yeah. And she said, oh, it reminds me of my childhood, or reminding me of a bigger connection, and it was like almost like a portal for her, a gateway to a part of herself that she couldn't access before. And so that's the goal of the workshop, for each person who comes to access their own unique map, sort of energy resource map, then to apply it. And then I'll also give them practices of how to rebalance really quickly, like a somatic practice, that and this is the thing people don't know, our nervous system does not speak the same language as us, in terms of, does not speak, it's not verbal. Most of the things most of the things are non-verbal, like the way we communicate. But for some reason, I don't know why, we, we're not practicing it. And so it's extremely simple to just to show how to speak the same language with your nervous system so it can unwind. Let's say you're in a very stressful situation and you need to quickly shift, because it's an important decision making, right? You don't want to be creating it from like a scarcity mentality or from a panic. Once you're panicking, it's too late. You have no access to prefrontal cortex. You have no, this is just gonna, go down the spiral. You're thinking how to survive. We don't want you to be thinking how to survive. Yes, it's important to survive, but we want you to think how to thrive, right? So if you can shift in that moment and you can speak the language in your nervous system, then you'll create a completely different, space, reality. So that's what the workshop is about. It's like tapping into your energy, knowing how to do it, having very clear practices so that you can make incredible decisions in your life. You can rebalance, you can be grounded, and you can create the life for thriving, not for surviving. Although surviving, sometimes it's fun, but over a long time, you're gonna burn out.
What is the best way to contact you. If somebody who's watching now is thinking or definitely need it now, I need to recharge to find my connection to my inner energy source. What is the best way to contact you?
Send me a DM. DM me, guys. Totally fine. I will I will respond. I have a website, creativesubconscious.com. You can check out information there. You can message me here on Instagram. They could ask you as well. They could
Yeah.
chat to you. You have all my details. Um, and then yeah, I mean, I have also a podcast. Actually, guys, Polina and I did a podcast. So you can check it out. It's on Spotify. It's called Creative Subconscious. And if they want more information on that, I have interviews with that on your with you with on your creative process, and then I have an interview with psychedelic therapist as well, how she uses creativity. I mean, there's all sorts of things and more coming up on body practices. So yeah, there's some free resources as well.
And can they still jump into your workshop, which is today tomorrow?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. In fact, please do. If you find if what I shared resonates with you, do join. I'd love to have you. We're starting at 5 p.m. London time, London, Portugal time. Send me a DM if you're interested. I'd love to have you. We will play for a couple of hours. We'll work through all the practices that I mentioned, and we'll do it tomorrow as well. So it's today, tomorrow for 2 hours, and you're gonna walk away with your energy map. You know your unique pattern, how to restore your energy and recharge, and much more, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's so nice of you that they just can DM you and ask directly. It's a unique chance, actually, I think, when you can directly address some of the questions to professionals who you trust and believe. I think it's really
Oh, I'd
special.
be honored. I'd be honored. And what's more, I will say that any questions, guys, you have is actually helpful for everybody else. Normally, it's not just you, it's other people are experiencing it. And so it gives me a chance to help everybody else. So don't be shy, ask away. I will send you my responses and we'll go from there. And Polina, thank you so much for having me. What a treat always to chat to you,
Yeah,
and especially now on a weekend.
for me too. It's a great pleasure. I think that we can plan another life and prepare a little bit more because today it was very
Yeah.
spontaneous and I haven't noticed how almost an hour left.
Oh my God, it's an hour. Oh gosh, we went so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you want next time we can do a practice. We can actually
Wow,
share what we're talking about.
that would be
Yeah.
wonderful. Oh, I want that.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
For today, thank you very much.
Thank
It was a good pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.